welcome back. And if you tuned in late today, my guest is Vally Sharpe from Asheville, North Carolina. And she has United Writers Press. But now she has ventured into something that is really dear to my heart. She has one other person who does the audio, and she will come wherever you are, or wherever your grandparents or somebody you want to preserve their memory. And it takes, what, about 4 hours? And she creates. They could remember when they were a child and tell these stories that is on film, and they have it, you'll have it forever, and then you have a book to go with it.
That's correct. What we do is go into people's homes, or like you say, wherever they happen to be, a retirement village, if that need be, in an activity room, we can arrange that as well. But we come in with cameras and audio, and I or someone who is specially picked will go in and do an interview that starts out pretty much. Tell me about where you were born, what was it like growing up, just general questions, so that we can get what I call the play-by-play information about someone's life, the stuff that you would write down in a book, maybe the family tree. We'll scan in still pictures of older people or whatever that goes along with the text. But all the time we're talking, we may take off into what I call the family legends. The stories that maybe children or grandchildren would love to hear and that we tell forever, but the best part is that they get to hear you say it. It's you talking, it's your own words. They see the three-dimensional person as well as the two-dimensional person that is what we have, in a book.
And somebody who has a military person in their family who has been in terrible circumstances, perhaps,
they can talk about that as well.
Even people who were in the Second World War, and we're losing them every day, and they have these memories.
Absolutely.
That are priceless to share.
Well, to give you an example, as I said before, I'm 57, which means that I grew up in the late 50s and 60s for the most part as a young child. And my niece, who is now almost 40, and I were talking recently, and it just now occurred to her that I was actually alive in the South when the civil rights movement was going on. What is dry history becomes much less of history, because who we are, I'm a big history nut too, not just in general, but for personal history, because without knowing where we came from and really getting a sense of the essence of the people from whom we came, we don't know ourselves very well.
And you have a background as a therapist, so you can sort of help people know what questions to ask.
Absolutely.
You could ask the questions, or if there's some family member there, they can ask the questions, but you can help them put it together.
That's correct. And as a writer in most of these, I'm overseeing the writing. When we talk about a book, that goes along with it. This one is a little bit thicker, obviously, than we can gather the information for in 4 or 5 hours. But this is a memoir about a young woman who came in 1906, immigrating from Lithuania to New York. I forget now why exactly I was talking about this.
But if somebody does this and has you come to wherever they choose, and the family's there, and you talk about it and put this story together, not only do they get the sound and the pictures, the video, but they also then have a book with the dates and the names and all that in it that goes with it. So it's like a complete folio.
Exactly. There are people who go and sit and help transcribe memoirs, and there are companies that I know of who do come out and do video memoirs. But I'm pretty sure we're unique in putting the two together, because we've got professional writers, professional editors, We've got all of the equipment to
do-
actually produce the book, and we also have professional video editors as well.
And I don't talk about money on television, but this, you don't have to be a millionaire to do this.
No, not at all. In fact, we are streamlining constantly to try and do all of this in a single day or over a period of a couple of days, depending on as much the energy of the person being videoed as possible.
So if somebody thought about doing this, they would call you
That's right.
or email you or whatever.
Right.
And try to get, you'd have an idea of what they wanted, and you go all over. I mean, it doesn't matter where.
We go wherever we're needed. Fortunately, as I said, as technology has advanced, the cameras are smaller. And
yeah, but I mean, you go to South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, wherever. So it doesn't have to be just Asheville.
Right. The first thing that once contacted, what we do is send out either by email or mail a list of general questions that can get the person who's going to be interviewed thinking in terms. The beauty of it is during the interview, just coming from that, we'll hear something that probably wouldn't be written down if you just took a structured interview. And that's what we're really looking for and following in the filming, because those are the moments when they're telling the story unexpected,
And you really are working really with families.
Absolutely. I see this both as this is something that can be given by children to their parents, an anniversary present or
what a wonderful idea.
A holiday present. But the truth is they're really giving the gift to themselves, because it'll be there for them long after their parents are gone.
And when these people leave us, there's all those gaps. It's too late to fill them in.
That's right.
I mean, you may have a vague idea of the person or where they were born or what they, and people think, oh, my life isn't very interesting. I'm not a famous person. I've never done anything. And then when you start to talk to these people, you realize their life could be made into a movie many times.
I think that's true just about everybody. I can honestly say that I've worked with about 400 different authors to self-publish, and I have not yet run across someone that wasn't extremely interesting, no matter what it happened to be. And there are things about them that if we just look at what they did for a living or where they lived or, like I say, the two-dimensional pieces that we would never guess that are true. The education people that wrote Why Bad Grades Happen to Good Kids, this is the story of her grandmother. The Blue Noser Tales, the editor and historian of the 352nd Fighter Group was an advertising executive who most people only knew as the guy who sold them
what he
Woman's
experienced.
Day. And until we sat down and talked, I mean, you start to say, oh my gosh, I didn't know you did that. And it is especially important, I think, even within families, how many things that maybe you don't know that your grandparents experienced or your great-grandparents experienced that answers the whole question about why they became the way that they were, even people that you know. I mean, if you think about how often, just in general conversation, how much you can change just by finding out one momentous event that happened in your parents' lives. Suddenly, some idea that you had about the way they were changes because of this new information that's there. And I think we're just losing it right and left. Every single person has done something unusual, and it doesn't have to be notorious, or it doesn't have to be that they ran into a movie star somewhere. There's something interesting, something unique that I think everybody in a family needs to know.
Now you call this part of your business your unique life.
That's correct.
And this is and how much time does somebody, if somebody out there says, oh, this is wonderful, I'd like to do this for my people while they're still on the face of the earth. how much time do they have to commit to this? And they obviously would have to get the people involved's permission,
Right.
that they'd want to do it.
It's schedule the day, it's think up any of the family legends, as I say, or the stories. Spend about a day, gather together any photographs that we can scan. And generally speaking, I mean, it's aggressive to think that you can get it done in a day, but within a couple of days, that's all the time really they need to commit until we're almost done with the finished product, and let them have a look at the book and view the video and say, no, I don't want that in there, or you know, whatever the case may be. But we can generally turn that around in about a 30-day time frame.
And I'll bet there are people out there, just like I am, who have photographs and pictures, and they know when nobody else knows who those people are. So when you're no longer here, your descendants will look at these old pictures and say, well, who's that? And somebody said, well, you just write it down, write who it is. But that isn't as interesting as having a living story about people. I think what you have is a ministry. Maybe you've never thought of it that way, but that's what I think. And we are out of time, so come back, will you?
I will, Peggy.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Vally Sharpe, Your Unique Life. And I'll keep that information here if you didn't get it and you'd like to contact her. Wherever you are, we wish you joy. Bye-bye.